What if I told you that sometimes the moment a man feels the deepest love for you is the very moment he begins to pull away? Strange, isn't it? We grow up believing that love is simple. If he loves you, he stays. If he doesn't, he leaves. But reality, especially in modern relationships, rarely follows that neat script. Instead, there's a paradox women across the world experience. One day he's close, affectionate, almost inseparable. The next, it's as if a shadow falls between you. He becomes distant, distracted, unreachable, and in that silence, a woman's mind often becomes her worst enemy. You scroll back through old messages, rereading the way he once pursued you with intensity. You ask yourself, did I say something wrong? Did I give too much or not enough? You start to question your worth, your beauty, even your place in his life. But here's the truth that most women don't realize. When a man pulls away, it's not always about you. In fact, sometimes it's about him fighting a battle you can't see. A battle between desire and fear, closeness and independence, longing and self-preservation. This pullback, this vanishing act, can feel like betrayal, but it is often a reflection of his psychology, not your inadequacy. And here's the most shocking part. Sometimes the stronger his feelings grow, the more urgent his instinct becomes to retreat. Why? Because love doesn't just awaken joy, it awakens fear. Fear of losing freedom, fear of being vulnerable, fear of no longer being in control. So the next time you find yourself staring at your phone, wondering why his warmth has turned cold, pause. His silence isn't automatically rejection. Sometimes it's resistance. Resistance to his own feelings, resistance to the weight of intimacy, resistance to the very thing he secretly desires. And this leads us to the real question, the one most women never dare to ask. If it's not rejection, then what is it? To answer that, we need to dive deeper, beneath the surface appearances, into the hidden world of male psychology, a world that changes the way you see not just him, but yourself. He was affectionate, present, attentive, the kind of man who made you laugh until your stomach hurt and held you as if the world outside didn't exist. Just hours ago, everything felt safe, warm, and perfect, like the universe had finally aligned in your favor. But tonight, something is different. You feel it before you see it. His replies are shorter. His eyes, once so full of light when they met yours, now dart away. The man who used to lean in close suddenly feels far away. You tell yourself maybe he's just tired. Maybe work is on his mind. But deep down, you recognize the shift. Days later, the silence stretches beyond words on a screen. It lives in his touch, in the way his hand no longer lingers, in the way his voice feels careful, almost guarded. And in that silence, a storm brews inside of you. Your thoughts spiral. Did I say something wrong? Did I let my guard down too much? Did my love become a burden? You replay every detail of the weekend, searching for cracks, for reasons, for answers. This scene isn't just yours, it's universal. Women across the world have lived this cycle. Intimacy followed by distance, warmth followed by withdrawal. One moment you're basking in connection, the next you're left in a cold void you never saw coming. It feels like standing in the middle of a storm without warning, drenched and shivering, wondering when the lightning struck. But here's the truth. This withdrawal is not random. Psychology tells us that many men retreat when intimacy threatens their sense of autonomy. For women, deepening love often brings closeness, comfort, and expansion. But for some men, love awakens something different, a fear that their independence, their control, their very identity might be slipping away. So when he steps back, it's not always rejection. Sometimes it's survival. His way of managing emotions he doesn't yet know how to hold. Yes, the silence feels like abandonment. Yes, it cuts deeply. But here's the empowering truth. His distance is not proof of your inadequacy. It's a reflection of his coping mechanism. But what exactly triggers this retreat? Why do men pull away just when the connection seems strongest? The answers lie in 3 hidden psychological patterns that most women never see coming. Here's the deeper truth. Men don't just pull away from women, they pull away from themselves. Every step closer to love doesn't just mean closeness with you, it means closeness with parts of themselves they've spent years hiding. Vulnerabilities, insecurities, emotions they were taught never to show, and for many men, that feels terrifying. Think of it this way, imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. The view is breathtaking, the possibilities endless, and the air feels electric with possibility. That's what falling in love feels like. But at the same time, the ground disappears beneath your feet. You're free falling. And free fall feels like losing control. For a man conditioned to believe that control equals strength, that sensation is not only uncomfortable, it feels like danger. So when feelings grow too strong, when intimacy runs too deep, retreat becomes his instinct. Not because he doesn't care, but because caring too much feels dangerous. His identity, his independence, his sense of self feels like it's under threat. For women, this creates a painful paradox. You wonder, if he likes me, why doesn't he want to be closer? If he feels something, why does he run? And yet, the psychology is clear. The stronger his attraction, the more threatening it can feel. Here's why. Neuroscience shows us that intimacy activates two powerful forces in the brain. On one hand, dopamine, the feel-good chemical, lights up, fueling desire, pleasure, and bonding. But on the other hand, cortisol, the stress hormone, can also rise. To him, love becomes both sanctuary and battlefield, a place of joy, but also a place of stress. It's like walking toward a warm fire on a freezing night. He craves its heat, but the closer he gets, the more he fears being burned. So he steps forward, then backward, leaning in, only to retreat. This dance of desire and fear is what so many women experience as the pull away. Here's where the power shifts. For too long, women have been told to see his silence as rejection, as a judgment of their beauty, their worth, their value. But in reality, his retreat says far more about his internal conflict than it does about you. When you recognize this, something powerful happens. You stop personalizing his behavior. You stop spiraling into self-blame. Instead, you gain clarity. His retreat is resistance, not rejection. Resistance to his own feelings, resistance to the weight of intimacy, resistance to the vulnerability love demands. And clarity is the first step to freedom. Because once you see his distance for what it truly is, you can step out of the storm of self-doubt and into a place of power. Why does he suddenly stop calling when things were going so well? Why does his energy shift the moment you let your heart relax into his presence? For women, this retreat feels personal, like rejection, betrayal, or a loss of value. But what if I told you, his silence, his distance, and his withdrawal are not about you at all? Most men don't even consciously decide to retreat. It's not a choice, it's a reaction, an ancient protective instinct that kicks in the moment intimacy begins to expose their inner world. And behind this retreat, there are three powerful psychological triggers, three shadows that silently control a man's behavior. Let's peel back each layer. 1. Fear of losing freedom. To many men, intimacy feels like stepping into a cage, even when the woman they love is the one holding the key. Since boyhood, men are taught to equate strength with independence. Stand on your own 2 feet. Don't rely on anyone. Don't be tied down. Freedom becomes a symbol of masculinity. So when closeness deepens, his subconscious whispers, what if I lose myself? What if I can't breathe? What if love chains me? This isn't about not wanting you, it's about not wanting to feel trapped. Think of a man who's been used to running wild in open fields. Suddenly love feels like a beautiful garden, with walls. Even if the walls are built of roses, he fears the loss of horizon. That's why he pulls away, not because you're too much, but because he fears losing his own sense of space. 2. Fear of vulnerability. Love is the most dangerous mirror a man can stand in front of. When a woman truly sees him, not just the strong, confident side, but the doubts, the insecurities, the hidden pain, it can feel unbearable. Most men have been conditioned to suppress emotions. They've been told, don't cry, don't complain, don't be weak. Vulnerability becomes shame. And so, when intimacy demands openness, their nervous system goes into alarm. To him, opening up feels like stripping armor on a battlefield. Yes, it can lead to connection, but it also leaves him exposed. And the fear of rejection, what if she doesn't accept the real me, often drives him to retreat before he even risks showing that side. So when he suddenly becomes distant after a night of closeness, understand this. It's not rejection, it's recoil from the intensity of being truly seen. Third trigger is subtle but powerful. The invisible weight of expectation. As a relationship deepens, many men begin to feel an unspoken pressure to step up, provide, protect, commit, lead. Even if you never voice these expectations, the mere fact that you're investing emotionally signals responsibility to him, and with responsibility comes fear. What if I fail her? What if I'm not enough? What if I can't give her the future she deserves? This pressure doesn't always come from you. It comes from his own internalized idea of what a real man should be. And instead of facing the weight, some men unconsciously escape it. They retreat, hoping distance will release the pressure. These three fears, losing freedom, vulnerability, and pressure, are not excuses for his behavior, but they are explanations. They reveal that his retreat is rarely about your worth. It's about his shadows. And once you see this clearly, something shifts inside you. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start seeing the truth. This is about what he cannot face in himself. But here's the twist. The one truth most women never recognize. Behind these triggers lies an even deeper, darker reason why men retreat. And it changes everything. Because sometimes his distance isn't just fear of you, it's fear of the parts of himself that love awakens. What if his silence isn't temporary? What if the man who once held your hand so tightly is showing you, through his distance, the reality of his heart? This is the darker truth most women don't want to face. Sometimes, when men pull away, they are not testing you, not needing space, not even figuring themselves out. Sometimes, their withdrawal reveals the truth of their emotional capacity, and that truth can be devastating. Illusion versus reality. In the beginning, everything feels magical. He was attentive, warm, present, he texted first, he leaned in, he made you feel chosen, and then suddenly, his energy shifts. Your heart says, this is just a phase. He'll come back. He was so loving before, surely he still is. But here's the hidden reality. The before was his comfort zone. It was easy for him to show up when intimacy was light, when the stakes were low, when vulnerability hadn't yet entered the room. But as closeness deepened, his real patterns began to surface. Withdrawal is not always a glitch in the system. Sometimes it's the system revealing itself. Why this truth hurts so deeply? Women are wired to see potential, to nurture, to believe in transformation. You remember his sweetness, his laughter, the version of him who felt safe and present. You hold onto that version like an anchor, telling yourself, if I'm patient, if I love harder, if I prove I'm safe, he'll come back to that. But here's the paradox. Love doesn't create capacity, it only reveals it. If he cannot hold intimacy now, if he recoils every time love demands depth, no amount of waiting will make him suddenly ready. Because emotional availability is not a switch, it's a level of awareness, and without his own willingness to evolve, you will always be waiting for a version of him that doesn't truly exist. The mirror of capacity. This is the darker, liberating truth. His retreat is not a puzzle you must solve. It is a mirror reflecting his readiness. His absence tells you more than his words ever could. Instead of asking, why isn't he showing up for me? Start asking, does he even have the capacity to? That shift changes everything, because the moment you stop personalizing his distance as a flaw in yourself, you reclaim your power. You see clearly, his pullback isn't proof that you're unworthy. It's proof that he may not be capable of giving the love you deserve. And yes, this truth is painful, but it's also freeing. Because clarity, even when it hurts, sets you free from the endless cycle of waiting, hoping, and shrinking yourself just to keep someone close. So, what should women do when faced with this painful paradox? The answer lies not in chasing, but in shifting the power back to yourself. When men pull away, the first instinct for many women is simple. Chase him back. You send another text. You ask, is something wrong? You replay every word of your last conversation, wondering what you said that made him shift. And then, when silence lingers, panic whispers, maybe if I try harder, he'll come closer. But here's the trap most women fall into. What feels like love in the moment often looks like pressure to him. The more you chase, the faster he retreats. The more you explain, the less he listens. The more you beg, the less he respects. The painful irony? The very actions meant to pull him back only push him further away. So the true power lies not in running after him, but in standing still with grace. What not to do, don't beg for attention. Every time you say, why don't you call me anymore? Or, do you even care about me? You hand him the power. You turn yourself into the one seeking validation, and he becomes the prize. But you are the prize. Begging only confirms his belief that he can give less and still be kept. Don't obsessively analyze women often torture themselves by dissecting every emoji, every pause, every shift in his tone. But this spiral only drains your energy and convinces you that the problem must be you. Remember, his retreat is often about his fear, not your flaw. Don't shrink your boundaries. This is the most dangerous trap. You start saying yes when you want to say no. You accept crumbs instead of care. You lower your standards just to keep him comfortable. But every time you do this, you lose a piece of yourself. And when you lose yourself, love loses its power. What to do instead? Match his distance with dignity. If he pulls back, don't chase mirror. Give him space without bitterness, without games. This isn't punishment, it's self-respect. When a man sees that you can hold your ground, his respect grows. If he's truly interested, he will step forward again. Redirect your energy inward. Use his silence as a signal, not a sentence. Pour your focus into the things that make you come alive. Your career, your creativity, your body, your friendships. Show yourself that your world doesn't collapse just because he's quiet, because the truth is, your value existed long before he entered the picture. Communicate calmly, not desperately. When he returns, and often he will, don't explode with accusations or suppress your truth. Instead, communicate with clarity. I value closeness, and when you pull away, I need to understand if this relationship can meet my needs. I won't chase you, but I also won't ignore my own heart. This is strength in action, calm, feminine, unshaken, the empowering paradox. Here's the paradox that changes everything. Men don't respect a woman who loses herself in their silence. They respect a woman who holds her ground with grace. By choosing not to chase, by choosing yourself, you shift the entire dynamic. Suddenly, it's not about his validation, it's about your standard. And if he doesn't return, then the truth is revealed. You've just been protected from wasting years on someone incapable of giving you the depth of love you deserve. Because the right man doesn't punish you with silence. The right man doesn't make you beg for scraps of attention. The right man meets you where you are and rises with you. In the end, the story of men pulling away is not really about men at all. It's about women. It's about you. Your choices, your power, your voice. Too many women hand over their peace to the silence of a man. They twist themselves into knots, trying to decode every pause, every shift, every sigh. They forget the most essential truth. His retreat does not define your worth. It only reflects his readiness, or lack of it. Think about it. Every time he distances himself, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads to chasing, a road filled with self-doubt, anxiety, and shrinking your light just to keep him close. The other path leads to choosing yourself, standing tall in your worth, letting his silence filter out what was never truly yours. The filter of silence. Silence is not punishment, it's a revelation. It reveals the difference between a man who is truly ready for depth and a man who is only ready for convenience. Real love does not disappear the moment things get real. Real love leans in, not out. Real love doesn't make you beg, bargain, or bleed just to be seen. It stays steady, even in the storm. So when he pulls away, don't see it as a door closing, see it as a filter opening. It's showing you what he is capable of, and more importantly, it's reminding you what you deserve. The empowering reframe. Because the truth is this, the right man won't leave you questioning. The right man won't punish you with silence. The right man won't retreat when your heart asks for depth. And here's the twist. When you finally stop fearing the silence, you take back the power. You no longer wait to be chosen. You choose. You decide who deserves access to your heart. You decide what kind of love is worthy of your time. So let this sink in deeply. A man pulling away can never take away your worth. He can only reveal his own limits. And once you understand that, you'll never fear the silence again.